other people's opinions about ourselves, rather than, what we feel inside, or even sometimes we go against the mirror, because there's some women who are, what would be, by the world standards, be considered quite beautiful, but they just can't see themselves, that way. And a lot of things contribute to that, but it's a deep, deep topic. But it's one that I think, if as a woman you get it straightened out, and I do believe that the foundation of the issue about, appearance and so on has to do with your identity, but not only your physical appearance, right? Listen, if you all didn't figure it out, ladies, by now, that life can't be about how you look, You can't get your validation by how you look, because none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. And if we're trying to live up to the world standard of beauty, and what the world defines as beauty, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, right? And so it can't be about that. And so I want to get to the root, to the source, to the core of what is really supposed to give you your validation and help you with your identity. And I think that's going to change even the importance that we place on appearance, because I think that is a part of the problem too. And that has been something that has been handed down to women, unfortunately. Wow. And I don't think it's, honestly, I think it's changing slightly, because I remember growing up, we live in the Caribbean. And so, most of the people in Trinidad specifically, you have mostly African and East Indian. But growing up, I'm 50. And so growing up in the late 70s, 80s, one of the first things you want to do when you start to get big, or you start to go secondary school, is you want to relax your hair. You want to relax your hair. You don't want your hair natural. But that has changed now. And I've seen generation to generation, I've seen that change, where African women are now embracing their texture of hair. And, it's not like people who've had their hair relaxed for years, gone natural. And it's, no longer a fight to have this one type of look, straighten hair and that kind of thing. So it is changing, right? But I mean, I'm being honest, it's changing. When you look, you see it different too, in terms of beauty. People are, sort of broadening a little bit, but I still find, though, that when you speak to women one-on-one, even though they do portray confidence on the outward, I don't always get that, from the inside coming out. So it appears that way outside, that you're strong, independent, whatever, all the natural ladies, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't always mean that you feel better about yourself on the inside. It has just become easier to, I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? It has just become easier because everybody's going that way. It has just become easier now to say, hey, okay, I can embrace my natural hair, my natural self, because it seems like everybody's going that way, right? So I want to get to the roots of the issue. This may end up being 2 parts, because I want to focus on, getting you all to, I want to pull certain things out of you for you to start seeing where your issue is, right? And one of the things I did is I came up with 10 questions that I want you all to answer. So I want you all to get paper and pencil or pen or whatever. Or, well, I was going to say use your phone, but you're on the phone on Zoom, so you can't use your phone. But get a piece of paper and pencil. Take some time to do that now, because I want you all to be able to write, not a big writing, just, little quick yes or no answers, maybe just in 1 or 2 cases. You might have to write a sentence, but please, I'd like everybody to try to answer the questions, right? I think it's going to really benefit you all to see. This is going to show you what you think about yourself, basically, right? Because sometimes we don't even know that. Sometimes we're not even sure how we feel about ourselves. Sometimes we don't even know who we are. We don't know where we fit in. We don't know, we're not even sure what our true personality is, because the way the world is now, people sort of adopt a personality for every different crowd and scenario. You have the social media, you know, you know, everybody see you looking happy, going here, there, doing this, enjoying life, ha ha ha. And then when you're home, you're on your bed, you know, feeling purposeless and useless, and you know what I mean? And people put on fronts, but who are you really, the core? How do you feel when you are alone in a room with nobody around, no music playing, carnival done, camp done, friends gone, and it's just you? There's something in my eye I'd really like to get out of my eye. And it's just you and your thoughts. You, your mirror, the mirror and the thoughts. I don't know how many of you have ever sat in front of a mirror and just stared at yourself. That'd be an interesting experiment, and see how that ends up, right? Some of you might be thinking, nah, sis, I'm not going down that road. I'm not even going to venture to do that, right? So, for years, ladies, it's unfortunate, but for years, women have been taught. Did my laptop just shut down? Oh, yeah. For years, women have been taught that their value is linked to their appearance. How many of you agree with that? If you agree with that statement, just type yes in the comments, right? That somehow as a woman, your value, your worth is linked to how you look. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I think that is more so for women than men. Women have been, you know, it's I don't want to use the word pressure, but you know, throughout the ages, they've been seen as objects of beauty. That's not, I ain't making that up, right? And this is from the beginning of time. So the very essence of the word woman and female, you get a sense of something that's supposed to be beautiful, something that's supposed to be admired, something that's right. And I'm talking about physical beauty, right? And so because of that, and because of that stigma, because of just that, you know, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing, because it is true to a point. It does put pressure on women, right? And so a lot of women do get a big part of their value from their appearance, right? And now, and for years, beauty has also been defined for us, right? I can't decide that I can't just decide that some part of my anatomy, something that I just find that my odd looking, I'm sure I have a couple odd looking things. My nose is beautiful because it's spread, it's large, like, oh, this, you know, this thing, because it's spread out this way, I just find that is beautiful to me. I can't define my own beauty. The world did that for me, right? The world already tell me from the time I born that it's more beautiful to have a straighter nose, right? I lie, ladies, or I tell you the truth. Is that the truth? I mean, I'm using myself as an example, right? I have been told that my type of nose is not beautiful. True or false? Now, I'm not disputing whether you think my nose big or not. I just use that as an example because it's in your face, right? And it's on my face, right? But how many of you understand what I'm saying? That I could make the choice, yes, and I could say, yeah, well, I find the bigger, the more spread out your nose is on your face, the more beautiful it looks. But that, the world ain't gonna take me on, right? They're not gonna take me on because they've already put a definition to what beauty is, right? And so, again, that's something that puts pressure. True talk, my nose big, Crystal. Come, ladies, I wanna hear from you all. Is that true? Is what I'm saying true? Has the world defined what beauty is for you already? Did you have a say in the matter? Talk to me. You can type in the chat. Did you have a say in the matter as to what you consider beautiful? Our sister there, man. Right, ladies, talk to me. Did you have a say? Did you, wherever the beauty book is that you had to write the definitions, you had any input in that? Who was the people who came up with these standards, right? If you do, listen, you can probably do it. I have to do it because I'm on social media a lot. and you have to search for pictures and stuff, right? Photos. I have to search for a lot of photos sometimes to do ads or whatever. If I type beautiful woman, let's say I want a photo of a beautiful Black woman, right? Because when you're Caribbean and if you're using photos, you know, you want to be using white people all the time. But if I type beautiful woman alone, a bunch of white women with long flowy hair and straight features gonna come up. How many of you all have done that and seen that, right? If I leave out the word Black, I would get a set of white women, right? With one particular look, right? So for me to find a beautiful Black woman, this is Google I'm using. This is the search engine that most people use to search for whatever, unless you have some specific app or whatever, right? I am going to get that. That's, you can do it now. Beautiful woman, 90% going to be white. So if I need to get a particular type looking woman, I have to be specific. I have to say Asian, I have to say Black, I have to put it in, because as far as the world concerned, beauty, right, is that particular type of look, right? And ladies, that's unfortunate. And again, as I said, that should be, listen, that in itself should be proof to you that it cannot be about how you look. Life cannot be, it can't get your validation from that, because a lot of us would just feel worthless already because we don't fit in. Here in the Caribbean, most of us don't fit in. Most of us, even if you're East Indian, right? Especially if you have darker skin. All these things we know about, right? I don't even want to get into those things a lot because we know every single woman on this call, I don't think anybody could deny that that has been for many years the standard of what beauty is, right? A more maybe slender, shapely figure, small waist, some hips, a big butt, some breasts, you know, but it can't be too big, long hair, fairer skin. Even if you're on the brown scale, the ones who already talked to me, I'll find what they're talking to me tonight, right? When I went to school, red woman was like gold. I don't know if it's still the same, right? Not only in the Western world, well, yes, sorry, correct. I would consider us in the Western world, yes. You're right. Yeah, because it's not like that in I guess the more African nations and so on, right? But we not living there. And if they go on Google and search too, white woman will come up as well, right? But when I went to school, right? So they be dealing with what affecting us here, right? When I went to school, red girls was gold. If you're red, you get through. You didn't even have to be all that nice, right? Right? Well, I'm 50, right? But and again, too, that's subjective, right? You saying that, Wesleyan, but that's not the case for everybody, right? There's still a preference, and that's normal. Some people still have a preference. But listen, growing up in the 80s, yeah, the fairer you were as a young woman, the more popular you were, right? The more fellas like you, even if you're, man, I don't want to give this story because it wouldn't be, because I'll be just defeating the purpose of this whole show. But I mean, it had some red girls that, you know, they wasn't really all that, you know what I mean? They were, you watch them and you think, waves, okay, you know, but fellas still like them because they're red. Right? If you're red and you have shape, you get through in life. This is in the 80s, me going to school, right? And so it was a pressure, right? It was a pressure on women. So it for a lot of women growing up, especially in that time, the 80s, early 90s, it was pressure. Even as a Black person coming out in Hollywood or as a singer or whatever, there was a particular type of look you had to make it. Yeah. Yeah, more people are more open now. The world, what is the word? They become woke, right? And so a lot of things and stigmas and stuff that were accepted years ago is no longer the case, right? And that's a good thing. But it's not really about that though. It's about how we feel about ourselves, right? It's how we feel about ourselves. The other reason, before I go into the questions that I want you all to answer, and I want you all to I want everybody to do it. So make sure you have your pen and your paper, right? Another reason why, ladies, you can't put too much emphasis on your looks. Yeah, true. Well, they were mixed. True. True. And even back then, you know, even though you made it to make it, your hair might have had to been a little more curly and not so, you know, it was a rough long time, I ain't gonna lie. For terms of beauty and women, it was tough, right? Anyway, what was I gonna say? Right. Women concentrate on beauty, right? And they obsess sometimes about how they look. It becomes a source of, for them, of sometimes even depression. They feel less than if they don't think that they're beautiful enough, and you know that, so they focus a lot on the outward. But ladies, here's what I think I spoke about this in one of the last sessions, right? Being 50 now, I'm 50 now, and so, you know, I would say the prime of for a woman would be, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you're officially a woman at 18, right? At 18, you're officially a woman. So I would say the prime for a woman physically would be, let's say, 18 to 35, right? How many of you all agree with that? Like in terms of the physical, 18 to 35, talk to me. I'm saying a 17-year-old mightn't look good or whatever thing, but I mean, you know, the prime, if you're talking a woman, 18 to 35, would you all agree with that age range for your max years of beauty? Talk to me. I find all you're not talking. Or do you all have a different age in mind, right? I say 18 to 35. What you all say? Agreed? Prime of your life in terms of physical. 18 to 35. Ladies, what is this going on? Why are they in chat? Or they're not talking today? Talk to me, type it out. Just say yes, no, 18 to 35. If you have a different figure, a different age that you think. What is going on, ladies? What happened? All your type now. Thank you, April. Yeah, 18 to 35, right? So somebody do some maths to me and tell me how many years is that? Well, they ain't answering today, so I might have to get my calculator and do it myself quick. How many years is that? 18 to 35 is how many years? Quick, get my calculator. 27. Okay, that's 27 years. Right? 27 years. So 27 years, let's say you have 27 years as an adult to focus on, let's say you want to go that way, right? 17 years. Hold on. Let me do the maths, right? I confuse, or I confuse them. So let me do the maths myself. I shall do it. It's 17 years, right? 85 to, I said 18. 17, thanks. I know 27 was sung in a little, you know, it's like, that's a long run, boy, right? No, of course, ladies, don't get vexed with me. I'm not saying a woman who's like 35 and up can't look good too, but we just being realistic. I'm talking about prime, where, you know, it's not necessarily you had to work, you don't have to be in the gym every day. Some people just, you know, when they're younger, their metabolism faster, they don't put on weight, you just look good, you're healthier, you're stronger, you're just in your prime, right? So you have 17 years of that, right? This is, we're talking about beauty, right? And so that's, ladies, that's a short time in your life, right? There's going to come a time where your physical beauty is going to begin to fade. That happens to everyone. There's nobody exempt from that. Nobody. From the time you start hitting your late 30s, 40s, well, when you reach 40s and you're going down there, 50s, it is going to start going downhill. Now, you could fight a good fight, and you should, right? Right? 17 years, sis, right? You could fight a good fight, ladies. You could, and you should, right? Now, I'm not saying fight and become obsessive, because again, old, you know, some people end up getting real obsessive about how they look when they get older, because they're trying to hold on to that youthful look, and You know, they can't believe they're getting old. They can't believe they're not hot again. When they start walking on the road and they're not getting suit anymore, it hit them. It's like, oh my gosh. I was thinking about my own life, you know, as when you're younger and stuff, when you're out there, you're custom, man, looking at you, you're custom getting suit, you're custom little comments and things that normal. As life started going and you realize you're not getting babes again or sweets or shorty or, oh gosh, darling. When you start to get a auntie and moms, you see that, ladies, it coming all in all your 40s, early 40s, going on 50s, it coming again. The moms just now. I remember when I get my first auntie, I think it was from I think it was from one of those boys who try to wipe your windscreen, right? And he was still going on. Well, of course, Chanel, averaging Chanel age, in a 10, 12 years, you're going to get Auntie Chanel. I'm just telling you, just brace yourself it, right? I'm giving you 12 years again, I'm giving you plenty, right? But I remember he was insisting on wiping the glass, and I turned it down to tell him, you know, I tell you no. I tell him, no, I don't want it. And he said, oh, go auntie, tanty, and I was like, I forget, ladies, I'm not lying. I started to hear ringing in my ears, like somebody hit me in my ear. I started to hear, like a, you know, like in the movies, right? And I wanted to stop all conversation about windscreen and cleaning my glass and thing and say, excuse me, what did you say? That was my instinct to say that. And then I was like, I started to think, I was like, okay, realistically, this boy looks like he could be 14, 15, 16, right? He looked like about that age, right? And I was like, technically, I could be his mother, right? And so I'll settle myself. But I'm being honest with you all, ladies, nobody likes to think about that stage in their life. I could talk about it freely now because I'm at that stage of my life at 50, right? Yeah, boy, the moms, yeah. I am at that stage of my life. And when I look back, I'm like, how quickly that time went. When you went from hot and sexy and, you know, people giving you attention to where it's different now. So that's why, so ladies, this is why I'm saying it cannot be the focus of your life, cannot be about how you look. And you cannot let your appearance be where you get your validation from, because it's going to change year after year after year. You're going to see changes, ladies. I never used to wear glasses. I think I want to wear these ugly things. It's because when I hit 40, bam, it was almost as though when the clock strike midnight and I turned 40, I started to go so when I was reading. Like I remember the first time I noticed I was preaching, and because I always had like perfect vision, and I preach in the morning and I trying to read the Bible, and I'm like, why is squinting? And you know, why holding the Bible back? And then I mean, I fought it for a while, and eventually I had to wear reading glasses. And I mean, it was just age. Same thing with my brother when he turned like 42, 43. Same thing, right? So, ladies, it not sounding like good news, but at the same time, I want to give you a little reality check before I move off of appearance, because I do want to get to the root of things, right? And then in the next session, we'll focus more on appearance, and I want to help you out with some practical things, right? But the reality is your beauty is going to fade. Whether you think you're beautiful or you're not beautiful now, it's going to change. It's not going to get better. I'm sorry, ladies. You know, men, correct me if I'm wrong, if you disagree with me, men seem to age like fine wine. I know men who in their 20s, I would not give them a second look. They look, you know, like a nerd or whatever you want to call them. And in their 40s, it's like, where this man evolved, like where he come from, right? Some men, but not, their aging doesn't make them look bad. That's my opinion. When they start to get a little gray in their beard and they full out a little bit, some of them look better. Some of them do overdo it, you know. Yeah, George Clooney is 70 something, and he looks great, right? But most of the men that I know, I find as they get older, they look better. When I look back at their old, no, Crystal, what you saying, Crystal? Do you all agree with Crystal? Crystal say women age better. Where, in which century, which woman breast does get firmer when she get older? Which woman butt does get fuller and firmer, or their face get fuller unless you're doing Botox? Everybody faces, woman faces eventually is sad. It goes to one shape. I mean, unless, you know. Yeah, exactly. So if a man lets himself go, okay, a man letting himself go, man, some of them can't help it. The hair will thing, the belly might get, but a woman, if she let herself go, yeah, it's rough, right? But yeah. So now, ladies, please, we will talk about this more next week, but I want to help you to physically, to maximize your prime years, right? So nobody have to settle for anything that they don't want, right? But I want to get to some core issues tonight, right? So get ready to write. Please answer these questions for me, ladies. Everybody, I would like you to do it, and I would like to hear your feedback after, because that's the only way I could kind of move forward, right? This one is, you might have to write just a sentence. I want you to write a sentence, and this is, you might have to think for a couple of seconds. Because I done past 70. Oh, yeah, you are, oh, okay. You're doing good though, Crystal. You're doing good. You're doing really, really, really well. Yeah, big up to you. You're doing good, right? So ladies, let me focus now. Write for me. Write in a sentence, not a paragraph, a sentence to me. Say my name is, let's say my name is Crystal, and I am, let's see, 20. Yeah, but that's not the majority, Crystal. I can't agree with you there at all. When men age, okay, a woman who's taking care of herself and a man who's taking care of himself, aging, the man, it's easier for him, and somehow they could look better than they did when they were younger. I'm not saying the woman don't look good too, but it's hard for a woman to look better in her 40s than she did in her 20s. That unless she was obese in her 20s and lost weight in her 40s. I don't really see it, right? Right. So write in a sentence for me. My name is X and I am. I want you to write this, the first thing that comes to your mind that you are. If you could define yourself. So this is what you are doing, right? Ladies, let me forget the looks now. We're going off the looks a little bit, right? You are defining yourself in a sentence. And I don't want you to think too much about it. Like, okay, you know, what answer should I put? Because I don't want you to write the answer that you think I'm looking for. I want you to write what comes to your heart immediately. My name is Chanel, and I am, right? You are defining you in a sentence, right? So I want you to write that down for me, right? And I'm assuming everybody is writing. Not hard to find a piece of paper and a pencil if you're home, right? I am Crystal, and my name is Crystal, and I am, right? Next one, I'm moving on to the next one. That's not meant to be an essay, ladies, and I want you all to write with me. It's not going to benefit you if you do write it down, right? Next question, ladies, right? Again, I want what comes to your heart, which should be the truth for you to write down, right? Who or what, or maybe both, who and what makes you feel the most valuable? So what, who, maybe it could be a person that comes to mind that makes you feel valuable. Or what could be, what about you? What aspect of you, maybe your career, maybe you're talented in a particular area, but who or what, or if you want to put both, my mother and my whatever, makes you feel the most valuable, right? That when you think about this person or this thing that you do or whatever it is, you feel valuable, right? If you cannot answer that question, that is okay. If by that I mean you're thinking and you're like, I can't think of anything, that is fine, right? But I want you to write that down as well, right? Who or what makes you feel the most valuable? Going on to the third one. This one should be easy, right? You should not have to think long and hard about this at all. And it's a one thing answer. Can you think of one person who loves you unconditionally? Just write down. Can you think of one person? If you can't think of one person, write that person's name down. Who loves you unconditionally, right? Yes, ladies, it's possible to love and be loved unconditionally by someone other than God, right? I'm sure we have some mothers on the call, and your children can do no wrong. It doesn't mean that they don't do wrong, but it doesn't change. When your children do wrong, it don't change the way you feel about them. The love you have for your children is unconditional. Sometimes it's harder to love the husband. So how many of you agree with me? It's a little harder to love the husbands that way. It shouldn't be, but somehow it's easier to love your child unconditionally. They just pull down the whole cabinet and break your china and thing or whatever. Yes, you beat them, they cry, they saying you punish them, but an hour after you hugging them and say, Mommy love you, Mommy love you thing. But let your husband do you something now. He had a swelter in the corner there for 3 days before you go back and even try to even open your mouth to talk to him, right? So one person that you think loves you unconditionally, right? Next one. This one might come to you quickly too. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you feel about your appearance. So you're rating yourself. 3 alone, yeah, that's plenty. I've been honest, 3 is plenty. I'm not sure if I could say 3. But that's good. That's actually great. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you feel about your appearance. What you're giving yourself then on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best and highest, right? How do you rate yourself, ladies, on a scale of 1 to 10? Next, this one is a yes, no answer, right? Do you find it easy to set boundaries and to say no, right? You know, you're able to set boundaries, you're able to say, nah, this is my cutoff point. I ain't going further than this, hard luck. And you know it's not a problem for you to say. Is it easy? Is that an easy thing for you? Yes or no, answer for that, right? No, it's not easy for me to say no. No, I have problems setting boundaries, or yes, right? And all of this is going to help you to understand where you're at in terms of how you feel about yourself, how you value yourself, your identity, right? Next question, this is number 6. Do you find yourself comparing yourselves to other women? Is that something that you do subconsciously? That's not something you might necessarily openly tell someone, but do you find yourself comparing yourself to other women, right? Whether it be just their life, how they look, whatever, you know, what they have and you don't have, but is it something that you've done or you do throughout your life, right? Comparing yourself to others. That's number 6. Number 7. What would you say is the most attractive thing about you? And this is not necessarily appearance. If it is something in your appearance, you could write that down. But I'm just talking the most attractive thing about yourself. What do you think is the most attractive thing about yourself? And this is number 7, right? I'll just read them over quickly. It's 10 in all, in case you missed one, right? What would you say is the most attractive thing about you? I hope I'm not going too fast, and I hope you all are writing, ladies. Number 8. Is it natural for you to fit in different crowds, different types of crowds, or do you find yourself always trying to fit in, right? So just in that case, you just write in, yes, it's natural for me to fit in, or no, I always find myself having to try to fit in, right? That's an easy one to answer. Next one, which is kind of tying into number 8, number 9. Are you comfortable enough being yourself at all times? You know, there are people who, I don't know if they're schizophrenic or what, but they have a lot of different personalities. They adapt to every different setting and scenario because Well, it's kind of like fitting in, right? But are you the type of person who can be yourself at all times? Doesn't matter what people think. Yes or no to that, right? You are comfortable being yourself at all times, don't matter what people think. Number 10, right? Number 10 is the last one. Name 3 things that you wish you could change about yourself that you think will make your life better, right? Nice, April, right? 3 things that you wish you could change about yourself that would make your life better, right? 3 things that you can't just change. So if it's your weight, ladies, I'm just giving an example. If your weight comes to mind, newsflash, you can change that. So don't put that. Put things that not so easy, like things that might require a magic wand, right? But the things that you feel, you know what, if these 3 things were different, my life would be better. 3 things, right? 3 things. Think. If 3 don't come to mind, put if it's just 1 or none, no problem, right? But at least 3 if you could, if you have 3 things that come to mind, right? That will make your life better. Ladies, be honest with yourself, right? Be honest with yourself. So I'm gonna read them over, right? Write in a sentence, my name is X and I am. Number 2, who or what makes you feel the most valuable? Number 3, can you think of one person who loves you unconditionally? Number 4, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. How your appearance, rate your appearance. Number 5, do you find it easy to set boundaries and to say no? Number 6, do you often compare yourself to others? Number 7, what would you say is the most attractive thing about you? Number 8, do you feel like you always have to try to fit in? Number 9, are you comfortable enough being yourself at all times? Number 10, name 3 things that you wish you could change about yourself that would make your life better, right? Right, so I see April typing, that is good. 3 things that you wish you could change about yourself that would make your life better, right? So ladies, I would like for you to indicate, I mean, that was plenty time. I think, you know, you could have been writing as we go along. I would like for you to indicate in the chats, you know, I mean, I know it might be difficult for everybody to say, but just if you're finished, just say yes, say finish, just say finish. And then I want to ask a couple of you if you'd be willing to not say all of them, but at least give the answer to some of them, right? So Wesleyan is finished. Sunflower, so right, so people finish, nice, okay. Right, April is finished. All right. Okay. All right, so I'm not gonna ask for answers to all of them, but a couple of them, right? If you all would be willing to share, right? And I mean, ladies, the reason why we have these calls, those of you who've been on these calls before, we like to be transparent and open with each other, because when we share not only our strengths but our weaknesses as well, it helps each other. And you know, there's accountability as well. I'm able to steer you in the right direction. This is not a call where anybody judging anybody, because nobody is perfect, right? I certainly am not. And I don't think anybody on this call is perfect. So we're trying to get to somewhere here, right? It's not about judging or whatever, right? So I want to ask a couple of you, if you would, for the answer for number 1. Let me hear like at least 4 people's response to number 1. My name is Wesleyan. Okay. Hey, I said Wesleyan before I looked up and I saw Wesleyan. So Wesleyan, you identify as a caring person, because that's the word that came to mind. Your name is Wesleyan and you are caring, right? Nice. Somebody else. Somebody else willing to share what you identify. Kind. Okay, Bella said kind. My name is Melissa. I'm hardworking, ambitious, and focus driven. Okay. Okay. Let me see some more. A couple more. My name is Abigail. I am beautiful. Okay. Abby. I want to ask Abby some questions. Somebody, one more. One more. Nikita, my name is Nikita. I'm April. I have determination. Nikita, could Celeste, could you read what Nikita said?
My name is Nikita and I'm afraid of the future.
Okay. All right. All right. So, right. Interesting answers. Did anybody write their career? Is there anybody who wrote their career? Or their profession? Or yeah, their career, their profession. Anybody? Right. Well, I'll assume that means no. Did anybody write that they are a child of God? Anybody? I am Pauline. I'm a child of God. Did anybody write child of God? No. Nobody. All right. Okay. So Abby, right? Now when Abby identifies as being beautiful, I is that an answer? Is that the answer you think that I wanted to hear, or that is how you define yourself, Abby? Talk to me. My name is Natasha. I'm working on myself. I love it. I love it. That's almost the perfect answer. I'm working on myself. Yeah, Abby, talk to me. Beautiful is how you see yourself. That's what you identify with about you the most. Talk to me. Be honest. Abby, go on. Like she go on, yes? Oh, what did she say, Celeste? I was kind of scrolling, I missed it.
She said I also had a child of God, but I didn't type.
Okay. So I feel, Abby, she's looking to put the right answer. I feel it's the right answer she's looking for, not necessarily the truthful answer. Because, I mean, I don't know if anybody else wrote, define themselves as beautiful. That'll be unless you're talking about a holistic beauty, you know, that you see yourself as a beautiful creature, a beautiful person, that'd be a great place to be. And I mean, if that's how you really feel, that is awesome. But honestly, I actually honestly don't know many women that would define themselves like that wholly, you know, that I'm a beautiful person, basically saying all wrong, right? I want to just get a couple of ratings now. Like those of you, the one with the rating from 1 to 10. Let me see what you all gave yourselves. Rating your appearance from 1 to 10. Let me see. Give me some answers. You're rating your appearance. April says she's wonderfully made by God. 6 out of 10, Sunflower. Let me see some ratings. This is how you're genuinely rating yourself here. I don't know if that's a hard thing for you all to do. Tiana says 5. 5, okay. Nabi says 5. Ooh, big up, Natasha. Natasha's give herself a 9. Abby give herself a 4. Crystal give herself a 7. 7.58. This one going in points and slash and thing. 7.58. Okay. Big up Crystal. Let me see some more ratings. 7. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I kind of figured people would be more on the kind of average rather than the higher. For me, I don't know about you, but for me is I don't know. I guess I could be not hard on myself, but to rate myself on the higher scale, I don't know. That'd be kind of, I should say. Yeah. But let me see a couple more ratings. I think we kind of have an average of 6 so far, except Natasha, who come out with a 9, a solid 9. I kind of really want to see a picture of Natasha now, boy. Natasha, yeah, I'm curious. I want to see you now. I want to see you now. Right. Okay. So, ladies, last one I want you all to tell me. yeah, I'm real curious. I mean, 9. You know what would be interesting, but I'm gonna put all you under that pressure to hear what other people would rate you. So, like people who know you, obviously we can't do it in this setting. I mean, if half all you put all your camera, I show the state all you're in. I know I'm perfect, but yeah. But I mean, we talking about physical appearance, Natasha. If half all you put on your camera now, how all your home and thing there and no makeup and thing, the answers might be a little different. But it's interesting to see how you rate yourselves and how other people rate you all, right? In terms of appearance. But that's too much pressure. We go in there, right? We go in there. How many of y'all feel comfortable being yourselves all the time? You are comfortable being you, no matter where you go. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that as well, Natasha. No cameras. So you know I might give you a 9 if you put on a camera now. So we ain't going there, right? Yeah. How many of you are comfortable being yourselves? If you're meeting, I was going to say Rowley, but let me change that. You're going to meet Obama. What's the answer? Okay, 0. You're going to meet Obama. You're going to meet your cousin. You're going to meet your teacher, your boss, whoever. You are comfortable being yourself. And now, obviously, there's certain protocols that you have to pay attention to if you're going to meet a prime minister, as opposed to if you're going to meet your cousin. So I'm talking about if you're comfortable telling your cousin, hey, what is he saying? What is he saying? Right? And I've seen you go and meet Obama and do the same thing. Say, well, hey, Obama. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. But I mean, you don't necessarily feel you have to alter your behavior too much to be in a different type of, to be among certain types of people, let's say classes or races or whatever people that you look up to, look down to. You are comfortable being you. How many of you could say that? You are comfortable being yourself at all times. Talk to me. Let me see the comfortable, confident ladies out there. Yes, Nikita. Nice. Yes, now I am. Nice. Who else? Let me see somebody else. For the most part, yes. Yeah. Yes, I am confident being myself. Nice. Anybody would say no that they're not? Yes, everybody's saying yes so far. This is good. Could I ask Crystal, who said yes, she is now? No, not all the time. It really depends on my social space. 7, just comfortable enough. Okay. What would cause you to not be yourself previously, Crystal, if you don't mind answering? I don't mean you're typing or you're gonna, oh, it's how I saw yourself before. Right. Well, I get that, but I mean, low self-esteem. All right. So how would that look practically in a setting that you were not comfortable in? That's what I want to get at. How would that look? You don't want to just unmute your mic and talk. That's asking too much. Oh, I probably would.
Sorry, I forgot. No, I was in the chat. Sorry. So I forget I could have
Okay.
unmute. Good night, everybody. Yeah. So I think it would have manifested in like either me in my brain a lot thinking, well, okay, maybe I'll be looking at other people, seeing how they're moving and probably want to mimic how they are. If I think like I am not, you know what I mean?
Up to there.
It could manifest itself that way, or I might just be very quiet and very withdrawn, thinking
Okay.
that, well, you know, let me just hush. Anything I say might sound stupid or whatever. So that's how it might have manifested back then.
And what would you say changed that? Because is it that you are now different, or is it that you are now more comfortable? You know, would you say you've evolved in some way, like let's say personality or something, or is it that
Yeah, I
become
think
more
there's
comfortable?
certain things that I guess certain hang-ups that I have, I no longer have those issues. And I guess I've been exposed to different settings where I've been able to hold my own and gain the confidence from that. So you find that, you know, if I walk into a room, I mean, not that I have an inflated opinion about myself, but I'm certainly going to think, well, okay, you know, I could hold a conversation, I could talk to whoever, as opposed to think like how I used to think before. And
Right.
that came from, I guess, you know, my changing up my mindset about myself changing a lot, and also being put in situations where I had to kind of hold my own and
Right.
command that kind of authority.
Right.
So, you know, from doing that, it just stayed, I guess.
Right. So you had to basically, there are certain scenarios you found yourself in where you had to stretch yourself a little bit and go
Correct.
beyond.
Yes, I had to
Yeah.
stretch myself. And then when you stretch yourself, you can't really go
You
back.
realize, wait now, I still have plenty slack. I could do that.
Right.
And then you stretch
Yes.
some more and more, and you
Correct.
realize,
And then you don't go back. You just continue. It becomes a new normal.
right. So thank you so much for sharing that, Priscilla. That's kind of the point that I wanted to get to, you know, in this particular scenario. That a lot of times we go into certain settings, and how we react in these places and settings and with these people, even when it comes to, so sometimes, like, let's say, meeting people and dating, getting friends, you really put the mindset that you have about yourself is what is portrayed on the outside. And then sometimes it's just a matter of changing that and stretching yourself a little more and saying, okay, let me step out of my comfort zone here and see if I could go and chat with that person. Or let me see if I could take on this type of project. I'd never do something like this. Let me see how I manage in doing this, right? But I'll get to eventually why sometimes it's hard for us to even go there and try to step out, right? One more of those questions I want to ask you all to answer. Right, the last one. You don't have to say all three, but I mean, I hope you're willing to answer this one. But what would be 3 things that you wish that you could change about yourself that would make your life better? Let me see. Pick somebody. Give me 2, 3 things. A couple of y'all. Let me hear. Let me hear 3 things you wish you you could change that, you know, you just have to have money. But Pauline is saying that if she had boobs, her life would be better. I hear you. All right, and I love that, honestly. Wesley Ann said legs. You're joking? I thought you were serious, Pauline. No, but no, for some people, let me tell you all something, right? Big woman, not lying. A few years ago, a family member of mine called me, the person doesn't live there, a family member of mine called me. She would have been in her mid-40s at that time, right? She would have been in her mid-40s, already had 2 adult children. And she called me all excited to tell me that she is going to do a boob job, right? A little boobs won't hurt, I'm ashamed to say, right? But not to make your life better though. Anyway, so I was in shock. Now I know the person, and I know, yes, that they are, Natasha says lose weight. They are flat-chested, but they also have a lot of other things going for them, right? They have a lot of other things going for them, right? So, and the person is, remember, you all heard the age I said she was. She was in her mid-40s, like maybe 44, around there, right? And I'm like, okay, so you got your life, you're married, you have 2 children, you're established, and you're still thinking about having boobs. Now, and I know personally that that was the issue for her growing up. And I'm thinking that you have reached a 44, and this is still something that is still affecting your life and clearly your self-esteem, because you are seeing this as something that is still worth doing, because it was thousands of dollars to do it, lots of money to do it, and the excitement in doing it. And I was like, I was totally amazed. I was amazed. Now, I can understand a young girl who focus on your body and thing or whatever, and you feel that life is about that. Thinking that if I had more boobs, if I had a butt or whatever, wow, close to 50, what? But why? Anyway, anyhow, yeah. But I was shocked that she, after having kids, having a husband and everything already. So I was like, wait, so what that made me say immediately to myself, this woman sees value. Her value is tied to having boobs. She will go through her whole life feeling incomplete because she was not born naturally with big boobs. And I saw that as a very sad place to be. I'm sorry, right? I just saw it as a very sad place to be at that stage in your life, to still have that thing define you, where it was something that you still was so excited to go out and do. And it's like, and I wanted to say to her, but I didn't know, maybe I should, like, what exactly is it going to do for you though? At this stage in your life, is it just that you want to look in the mirror and see boobs and say, wow, look at how I look, because you have a husband, right? It's more profound. Okay. Yeah, but yes, but so as I said, I understand a younger person. I totally understand that, but I'm talking about a woman. Crystal just said she had a friend who did it and she was 50. This person called me and she was 44, already have children and have a husband. And so she didn't eventually do it, right? I think it was coming up to too much and all that, so she didn't do it. But I was actually disappointed, because you know why I wanted her to do it? Because I felt that if she did it, it would not change the change she expected to feel on the inside would not have come, right? Because that could never give you value. Boobs can't, at that stage in your life, I think there's much more missing for you to think that that is so important to you, right? I said all that because I think Pauline makes a joke about boobs, but I think that is a big thing for a woman, and rightfully so. Somebody just said, because it's, as a female, it is one of the things that makes you a female, to have boobs. And the reason why God gave us boobs, well, for several reasons. One of them, obviously, is to be able to breastfeed, right? Another reason is, I don't want to get thing, but midlife crisis. Yes, that's what it was. To get back some teeth. Okay, let me don't laugh. That, that's fine. I'm not laughing, right? You just sounded funny, but I'm not laughing. So let me see, ladies, the 3 things you wish you could change. Now, I wasn't talking just appearance. I'm just talking 3 things that you think you don't have now, that if you had it, your life would be easier or better. Not easier, better. That would make your life better. So far, I think I only saw to lose some weight after having children, right? That's one of those things that can be done though. That's not It's not a myth, that's not a fairy tale, that's not a, it's also, it may be a little difficult, but to find money counts, yes. Yes, money counts. More patience, money counts better. More patience. That's something you could have to. That's not a magical thing, right? So you're all asking for things that you can have. So money, money, money. I hear you better. Overthinking. 3 things you wish you could change about yourself. Okay, that could change too. I like how this going. So far, almost everything you're saying can change, and you don't need a magic wand for it. But for some reason, you all think it's not attainable. I don't know why. So far, almost everything except the things in your physical can change. More money, better butts and boobs. Perfect life, and basically life perfect. Money, boobs, and breasts. What more you need, right? I wish I had more educational credentials, right? Unless you are 84 years old, the person who just typed that, that could happen too, right? In fact, even at 84, you could get more educational. Your mindset could change too. Nothing here need a magic wand, right? The physical things, right? Yeah. Yeah. But those harder. If you just naturally don't have boobs, you know, the only way you could get developed is if you really do some kind of surgery or whatever. But the other things, aside from that, what you're saying there, those things easy to, or you have no problems then, right? You want your life to be better, it could be better in a year. Everybody who said something besides some part of the physical, I thought growing up that having a butt would have been the answer to all my problems too. Having a butt, my bottom flat. And I thought that would have been the answer to all my problems, right? How my flat bottom stopped me? What my flat bottom? How in the world that hinder me? What did it do? I still get a fine man. I get married. I do whatever I have to do in life. How my flat bottom stopped me from accomplishing anything? Anybody could tell me this? Huh? What does get you in trouble? Exactly. Right? I still get through in life with my flat bottom. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. So, right, let me move on because I still have a lot to cover. Right? Ladies, I want you all to go by the end of this session, which is right. We still have a little time. After the session, I want you to go back and look at your answers, and it'll understand you to see and help you to understand how you see yourselves, right? And I hope that certain mindsets would change, right? So it's important, ladies, for you to know who you are. It's important for you to be very, very intentional and careful about who you allow to define, who you allow to define you, right? It's important to know what mirror you are looking into and who is holding up that mirror, who is talking behind that mirror, right? If you could talk to your mirror and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? You have to be careful the voice that is coming back at you, ladies. You have to be very, very careful. Many of you are walking around with false identities, with identification that it's not really you and it's not allowing you to fulfill your full potential. You wish you could change your path. Whoa, there's a scripture for you. The Bible says to forget that and to press forward. That easy solution to the past. Forget that. That easy, just like that. The Bible says forgetting those things that are behind and reach forward for the things that are before. And whatever happened in your past, whatever. Anyway, let me don't do that. Let me just jump ahead of myself because we get into that, right? So I want to paint a little picture for you all guys, right? If you're driving down the highway in your car and you're speeding and a man pull up next to you in a car, not a police car, right? It's not a police car. He pull you over and you stop. You say, but why this man flagging me down? Because it's not a police car, right? He come out of his car and he come and he say, ma'am, you know, you're speeding. He don't have on a police clothes or nothing, right? Just a civilian. Well, that's how he looks to you. He looks to you like a civilian. You would be like, excuse what I have to do with you? Well, sorry, I would be. Like, and what does that have to do with you that I was speeding? How can I help you? And he was like, you can't talk to me like that. I'm a police officer. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me see your badge. Let me see your police ID or whatever. And he proceeds to go in his wallet and show me his Trinidad ID card and say, look, I am John Smith, all right? But it have nowhere any ID that says your profession. I will look at Mr. John Smith and stoops and turn up my glass and drive off, right? I hope you would do the same, right? Now, it doesn't mean that John Smith is probably not a police, right? But there is nothing on his person, he's not carrying around any identification that is going to cause me to look at him as an authority, even though he does have it. Let's say if I make a call and I say, well, you have a John Smith there as a police officer, right, or you have a John Smith there as a police officer, they will say, yes, he's a sergeant or whatever. The fact that he's walking around with no identification as a police officer and showing me his regular ID, I cannot be, he can't usurp any kind of authority over me in that situation. He can't arrest me, he can't do nothing if he does not have proper identification on him as a police. Even if he's in plain clothes, he at least have to have a badge, right? Or as far as I'm concerned, you are not a police officer, right? And I have all right to turn off my glass and mash my gas and go, right? And ladies, now, I mean, I hope I could tie it in for you to see now how sometimes we are walking around with a false identity or the wrong identity, right? We are walking around portraying ourselves as somebody that we are actually not, right? Or I should say, the real you, right? The real you, that is the ID you're supposed to be carrying around, the identity that God has given you, right? Because the only person who could actually define you or give you your true value is the person who created you. That is the only person. And that, ladies, newsflash, that is not your mother and father. They did not create you. They had sex, came together, had sex. Your mother had you in her stomach for 9 months. She carried you and she pushed you out. And you look like her, you have her DNA, yes, you have some of her personality, some of your dad, whatever. But they didn't actually create you. They don't, not even your parents have the ability to define who you are. So you could never meet your parents here. You could never meet your biological mother or father. It still doesn't mean that you don't have identity, you don't have worth, because that comes from God. That comes from the person who created you, who gave you life, right? None of y'all here know how to actually, you came together with somebody. Those of you who have children, you had sex with them and you had a child, but you are not responsible for your child's lungs being where they are, for their eyes being where they are, or for them to to have knuckles and skin and hair and all these fantastic things about human body. That was not you. That was God, right? And so if God took so much time to be precise about our physical body, right? Putting all these different parts in place and all of that, don't you think that he would put even more? And guys, this is fading. This is rotten. This is going to go back in the ground, your flesh, right? It's going to go back into the ground where it came from when you die, and your body is not going to go on forever. So God is not going to put, right? Listen to me, ladies, great effort into your physical being that is going to fade away eventually. The Bible actually likens it to a flower. Here today, beautiful. The Bible says beautiful today, the flower here today, and then gone tomorrow, right? From the dust you came, from the dust you're going to go back. That's talking about your body, right? So why would God put so much effort into that? And not put so much effort into making you into a beautiful person on the inside, or giving you talents, giving you giftings, making you who you are, giving you a purpose, right? Formulating a plan for you, right? You might feel you just here. I don't know how many of you all think you're just here by chance. Why you think you were born? Not just to exist, ladies. You were not just born to just exist, to wake up, wah, cry, mommy, wah, get milk, grow, go to school, do education, just go through the motion. God has a purpose and a plan for every single human being, right? And many times we are so focused on everything else, but on everyone else, but the one who actually created us, right? We are focused on what our parents say about us. We are focused about what our peers say about us. I mean, school is a brutal place in the Caribbean. I don't know if it's the same in America. I can only talk for what I experienced. And school was brutal. Children are brutally honest. So listen, growing up, if you had a flaw, a fault, a physical flaw, anything that was less than perfect, anything, a limp, an extra finger, a funny eye, anything, children would pick on you, right? How many of you all know that is true? Like at least in the schools that I went to, right? If you talk funny, anything that took you out of the norm, children will pick on and they would try to label you, right? Any feature that you had that was a little more distinguished than others, like you have a bigger nose, if you have big ears, you have bat ears throughout your school, you again talk about bat ears. If your forehead big, they're finding a name for you. Listen, right? And so we grow up in a society, and this even comes from our home, where people try to put labels and try to define you from young based on your appearance and maybe based on certain things that might be a little different about you. So as I said, if you speak different or anything that might be out of the norm, and they try to pinpoint those things and try to label you now, right? And so again, I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing. I don't know if, this is the case all around the world, but even in your own family, I've experienced it where your cousins and your your siblings would tease you about things that are less than perfect in your appearance, right? I was teased about my big forehead until I told you all this already. Even my father used to tease me about my forehead. He would pass and hold it and do like this and say, hey, you're not supposed to be able to hold somebody's forehead. And so he would hold my forehead in his hand. And I used to have a donkey mane to hide it. And, and he would tease me about my forehead. I never really used to take him on so much because he would say other good things, but he used to tease me about my forehead a lot. And so I would try to hide my forehead. That only started to change when I met my husband. We were friends, and he used to tell me that my forehead like Naomi Campbell, and he used to tell me I like a model. That forehead is like a model. Big up, Kerwin. Right? He'd be like, no, who said your forehead? No, that's the forehead of a model, like a supermodel. So I was like, oh, okay. Like all this time I thinking my forehead ugly. I didn't know it's a supermodel. I really am, But listen, but I mean, a funny story, but it's true, right? And so we go through life, and in every different stage in your life, ladies, people try to define you, and they try to determine your worth, and they try to determine your value. When you start going secondary school, is a whole different thing. People try to people try to, based on how well you do in school and secondary school, you would know at the end of every term who come in first, second, and third. It would always be a fight. So who would skip? She might come first this term, next one come first. So it's three of them fighting for first, second, and third. But those who fighting for the last, second to last, and third to last, right? Them getting labeled as duncy, as stupid. People making jokes about them, right? I remember my math teacher telling me in Form 5, we did an exam, and out of 20, I got 5. And he made me stand up and he said, well, look, at least she get 1 mark for every year she spent in the school. And at that, everybody laughed. I laughed too, because I still inside, I laugh or cry. And so that, was a pretense. They laugh. And I'm like, me and care. He said, I don't care about that. But really and truly inside, you hurt him. But if you don't laugh, what's the alternative? To stand up and cry in front of the class? Not me, right? So all through your life, and then you're working now, maybe you go to university, they try to put labels on you in university, you start working, your boss try to put labels on you, try to tell you how you're performing, what you can and cannot do, tell you how skilled you are. Listen, you meet your husband, he try to put labels on you, he try to tell you who you are, and how good you could be. If you can't cook, he might, you know, compare you to his mother. He might say, well, gosh, boy, you need some cooking lessons, try. And then, oh, listen, throughout your life, ladies, what I'm trying to say, people are going to try to define you. And along the way in their journey of life, we pick up on the wrong, we take on the wrong identities. We take on the wrong identities and we walk around with this false image of who we really are based on what people have said about us, right? And then the thing about it is, sometimes people speak words to us, right? And we carry around these images and we carry around these lies that people say about us. And because we have adopted the mindset and actually start to believe it, our life now becomes proof that, okay, I am really what they say I am. Because you have fully adopted that belief that I am, maybe somebody keeps telling you you are lazy. And so eventually you're like, I'm lazy, I can't help it, boy. I really want to know, but I just lazy, boy. Help me not be lazy now. And so you start walking around now with that lazy mentality. And you actually start now living out because you're starting to believe it, right? You're starting to believe it. And so you have to, if you don't have, ladies, a firm, solid belief, a foundational belief of who you are, where your worth has come from, who God sees you are, who he created you to be. If you do not believe that God loves you unconditionally, all of these things will equal you going through life and believing the lies that people and labels that people try to put on you as women. I mean, I'm talking about in every area of your life, but even in terms of appearance, we know how it could affect us, right? Somebody telling you you're ugly or comparing you to your sister, or telling you why you wasn't your sister pretty, use the ugly one, or why you can't be skinny like your sister, use the fat one, or you are the dumb one, or she have better hair than you, why your hair not more like hers, and the comparison. And listen, if we think about our lives sometimes, we could see how voices and people who we allow to hold up that mirror for us, how those people could affect our lives, right? But ladies, there must come a time in your life, right? Right. There must come a time in your life where you stand up and say, wait, come now, I can't, all these voices can't be it. All of these different voices, it can't be it. My mother can't be right, and my father, and my teacher too, and this one. There must be a source that I could go to that could truly tell me who I am, who could really tell me my value, my worth, who could really define who Onika is, and not all these other voices, right? Another mistake that we make, ladies, is not to allow your past and your mistakes to define you, right? Anybody who is divorced on this call, right? I don't want you to call yourself a divorcee. Stop saying I'm a divorcee, right? If you introduce yourself to somebody and meet somebody, don't say, hey, I am, yeah, my name is Mary, and they talk, yeah, well, I'm a divorcee. No, that's not, you're not identifying with being divorced, right? Your marriage didn't work, but that does not define you. You're not a divorcee, right? You are Mary, not Mary the divorcee, right? Some of you may have made mistakes and had bad relationships in the past that caused trauma, that caused brokenness, that you're still trying to deal with, and you're still trying to clean up the mess you made from mistakes in your past. You don't let that define you. Don't go through your whole life thinking of yourself as a victim because of something that happened in your past. You can't allow your failures to define you. Okay, all right, you didn't pass for St. Joseph Convent, you didn't pass for Naparima Girls, you didn't pass for SAGS, or you didn't pass for whatever school, right? But some people allow that to still carry on into their future, right? Because of the pressure, because for some young women, that is a traumatic time in their life. Very trauma is attached to SEA. And so because of that failure, from that point, it was written on your heart. And even the voices that came after that, with, not being able to attain, let's say that, your first choice or whatever, the voices that came, the way that you felt, if it caused trauma, that could follow you for a long time. So you can't allow past failures to define who you are. You are not a failure. You are not Deborah who went a junior sec. You are not Deborah who failed the ACCA exam, or you are not, so you can't allow these things, failed relationships, some even let's say women who have been physically abused, right? You are not a victim anymore. If you are out of that situation, ladies, and you are safe, you are away from that man, he no longer has the power, the ability, the space. He cannot affect you anymore. He cannot abuse you anymore. You are not Lisa, the woman who was abused. That's not you, right? So you cannot walk around identifying with these failures in your life or these mistakes that you made in your life, right? That is a big mistake. That is something that it's easier said than done, but you do have to walk it out, and you do have to tell yourself, listen, that was in my past, right? Today is a new day. The Bible says that God's mercies are new every morning, that he's faithful, and that, so you're moving forward. Sometimes you're going to take time to heal from those things that happened in your past, but you have to recognize it and don't let it define you. Don't move into your future thinking that I'm tied to those mistakes and failures that I did in my past, to my past failed relationship. That's in the past. What you should do now is learn from your mistakes, right? Learn and take the opportunity now to do the right thing. But don't go into the future now thinking, well, maybe I'm just a failure when it comes to relationships. Maybe all my relationships are going to be like this. No, just take the opportunity and learn from your mistakes and move on. And I want to read something real quick, and then we're going to finish here. And I'm continuing this next week, right? I'm just going to read this really quick. No, let me say this before. Careful who you allow to be your mirror or to hold up your mirror. If the wrong person is showing you who you are, you're going to have a distorted image of yourself. And ladies, the wrong person in most cases is anybody else but God. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have good people in your life who could help you and push you and actually bring out your potential. There are people, God does place people in your life like that, right? But not, human beings are not perfect. We know that. They have a bad day too, and they can tell you something out of timing, right? But let me read it again. Be careful who you allow to be your mirror. If the wrong person is showing you who you are going to have a distorted image of yourself. And then you're going to start matching your life. What you see in your mind, you're actually going to start matching up your life with it. So you're going to actually start making choices based on what you see in your mind about yourself. And it's going to be distorted. And you will not be living your full potential as a woman, right? Some people only see, when they look in the mirror, maybe not a literal mirror, but when they look on the inside, they only see what they lack. So you actually only see what is not there. You don't see the potential, you don't see what God put there, you see what is not there. So you look in the mirror, and instead of seeing somebody who could be kind, who could be a giver, somebody who could be, they have their own business, somebody who could be a mother, a successful wife, or whatever, you are seeing what you are not and allowing that to define you, what you don't have, what you lack, right? When you look in the mirror. And so I want to read this really quick. This is from Exodus chapter 4, verse 10. This is an account here with Moses and God. God just told Moses, basically, God just told Moses, I'm going to use you to be, I'm paraphrasing here, right? This is not, yeah. Moses, I'm going to use you to be one of the most powerful, talked about men in the entire history of the world. Your name, Moses, is going to be called till I come back the second time, which is how much? 2,000 years after this day. Moses, you're going to set my people free. You're going to be their savior. You're going to do all kind of signs and wonders going to come out from you. I given you this rod. You could do this, you could do that. God just basically pick up Moses and say, Moses, I'm gonna make you somebody real famous, basically, right? That's before. So that's what God told Moses. And then I'm starting to read Moses' response, right? So this is the man who created Moses here. And this is who tell him all those nice things. And this is Moses' response, ladies, right? But Moses pleaded with the Lord after God tell him all what he gonna make him the best and whatever, right? Oh Lord, I am not very good with words. I am not an eloquent speaker, right? God told him, I'm gonna send you to Pharaoh and you're gonna have to tell Pharaoh X, Y, Z. Moses' first words to God. Me? Moses like, me? Say not eloquent. God, I can't do that. You can't send me, boy. God, you guys, me? What? Me? That's basically what Moses do, right? No, Lord, not me. I'm not good with words. He said, hear what Moses telling God, I never have been, and I'm not now. Even though you talking to me and telling me this is Moses talking to God, right, ladies? He said, even though you telling me this, God, I am still getting tongue-tied and my words get tangled even as we speak. So basically, I picturing this dialogue between Moses and God, where God in his all power telling Moses, I'm going to make you great, you're going to free my people. And Moses like, what? That's. God, you sure? You understand what you're saying, God? Because right? And so, listen, ladies, that reading this blew my mind. It blew my mind, and it showed me that how we even now, God could speak the most marvelous, wonderful things in our lives. And if we do not see ourselves through his eyes, or if we have a false identity that has been embedded deep in our soul and mind, because Moses identified strongly with this man who can't talk and just get tongue-tied, and he saw himself, he was sure that that was who he was, right? And here God's response to him. God says, Moses, who make your mouth? Who make your mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak? Whether they hear or don't hear? Whether they see or don't see? He's like, am I not God? And then he actually shouted, because there's an explanation mark. He said, now go. I will be with you. You will speak. I will instruct you. I will tell you what to say. Right? God get a little mad, right? Guys, how many of you want to guess what Moses' response was after God buffed him up? Right? Anybody want to guess what Moses' response was? Talk to me. Let's say you don't know this passage of scripture. You never read it. Yeah. The creator trying to tell the creator about what he made. We do it all the time. It's sounding like outrageous reading it here, but we do it all the time, right? How many of y'all guess? Tell me, somebody tell me, what you think Moses' response was? You never heard this scripture before. What you think after God buffed him and said, Brett, is I make your mouth. How you gonna tell me how you gonna speak? I will tell you what to say. I will send you and give you the power, right? What do you think Moses' response was after that? When, after God tell him, I have your back, boy. I give you your mouth. You tell him about your tongue getting tired, right? You know what Moses tell God? Moses pleaded again. Lord, please send somebody else now. Ladies, what do you think about that? What do you think? God himself is speaking into Moses' life and telling Moses who he made him to be, the power and the ability he gave him, telling him what he will do and how he will help him. And Moses, so insecure, ladies. All insecure and self-consumed is what I call that. Because he's not even willing to put his insecurity aside to set God's people free, to be used to set. So he's seeing, he is so self-consumed and so insecure that all he is seeing is himself in the situation. He not seeing God, and he not even seeing the people that God wants him to help. The nation a whole nation, God wants to use Moses to set free. And all Moses could think about, ladies, is God send somebody else. Now I can't do it. I can't talk. I just get tongue twisted. Not me. You're making a mistake. Right? Ladies, I want to beg y'all. It went on to say, God got mad with Moses. God is merciful. God is merciful. Trust me. Read this passage. He's merciful, right? Exodus chapter 4. Read it. He's merciful. Don't doubt God's mercy, right? Don't be Moses, ladies, right? Do not be Moses. You could be living so below your potential right now because you refuse to overlook the insecurities that you have. And most of the insecurities you have, ladies, have been placed on you. And you refuse to look at who God says you are and to believe who God says you are, right? And to embrace all the gifts and the talents and the natural things that you have that God want to use, right? Don't be Moses, right? Ladies, you can't go through your whole life allowing these false images that people have been holding up to you for years to affect your life, to affect how you live, to affect how you project yourself, right? You have to come to a place in your life where you understand that the only person who could really put a definition, you all tried to define yourselves earlier, and some of you all were probably right, based on the natural. But if you were to ask God now to define you, to define Crystal, to define Nikisha, right, to define anybody on this call, I believe me, it is going to be very different to what you will write about yourself. And so, ladies, I want to end tonight by asking you to go before God and ask Him to define you. I don't know if anybody has ever done that. It's like, Lord, who am I? It seems as though I've been going through life with a false identity, really not with the true potential, not the identity that given me power and authority to do what you call me to do. And ask God, and I'm asking I just pray, just talk to Him, say, Lord, who am I really? Who have you created me to be? How do you feel about me? What is really my true potential? Why was I born? What is my purpose in this life? Is my purpose to, some of you all have been given, you've been, for want of a better term, you've been dealt a bad hand. Some of you, from the time you're born into a situation where your parents were no good, or they were never wrong. Maybe some of you all grew up not even knowing your parents, and things started off rocky for you. You cannot allow that, even your shaky start in life, to define the rest of your life. You are not a victim, right? There's no situation or circumstance that God cannot take you out from, right? So I want you all to end. I want to pray with you all tonight. I want to pray that God will, throughout this week coming, actually, I would like you all to pray that prayer, that those things that you wrote down, think about them. And I want you to pray and say, God, how do you really see me? What would you write here? Who am I really to you, right? But I want to pray that each one of you would open up would have an open heart and have an open mind to be able to hear from God, to be able to even know when God is talking, to be able to recognize the potential that God has given you, right? And to stop allowing the other voices, even that voice in your head like Moses, to override God. Ladies, I don't think anybody here wants to be as stubborn and foolish as Moses, right? Because look at what Moses went on to do, right? Imagine Moses had said, I say God's so merciful because me so that why I can't be God. At the time, Moses, move from here. Move out my face, Moses. Aaron, come. What he did, Aaron did help him. That's why I think God's so sweet and loving and kind. Even in the Old Testament, He allowed Aaron to be, a little assistant to him because he realized this man real stubborn and stupid, right? But me, so if I was God, I'd say, okay, Moses, go back and what you was doing before, go and do it, right? Aaron, and the whole Bible would have been, the whole Old Testament would have been it would have been about Aaron and not Moses. It would have been Aaron who parted the Red Sea. It would have been Aaron who did all those, if I was God, right? Thank God I'm not. So ladies, we don't want to be like that. So let me pray. As I said, we're going to continue this next week. I want to talk more practically now, next week, about the external and how and what we could do to maximize that, to maximize to help you. Because it does help if you're confident about your appearance, right? But it most certainly should not be your focus, right? So pray with me, ladies. Just Open your heart to God as I pray. Father, I thank you tonight for each person that is on this call tonight, Lord. I thank you, Father, that you love each one of them unconditionally. Lord, I thank you, oh God, that if there was nobody else I could write on that paper who loves me unconditionally, I know that you can. God, your love for me does not depend on if I do good or if I do bad, if I'm successful, you love me because I'm your daughter. And that qualifies me for your love. I thank you, oh God, that you love each person here the same way, Lord. And Father, tonight, I pray, God, that from tonight and even until this week, until next week, Monday, that you would begin, God, to write on their hearts, Lord, that they would open their hearts to you, that they would allow you to hold up that mirror for once, Lord. I pray, God, that you would give them dreams, place dreams in their hearts again, Lord. Father, give them vision, Father. Let them see themselves in a place that they never thought possible, Lord. Those who might desire to do business or those that desire to be married and have a family, I pray, God, that you would place a dream in their hearts, Lord. Father, that you would give them purpose, vision, guidance, direction, oh God. I thank you, Father, that they would find themselves in you, Lord. I pray, God, that each one will take the time to get to know you, Father, and in getting to know you, they will understand who they are, Lord, and how much you love them tonight, Father. And Lord, I thank you, God. I thank you for gifts. I pray, God, that you would give them, well, they already have, Lord, gifts and talents, but I pray for even more gifts, talents, oh God, aspects of their personality that they've never even discovered, Lord. I pray, God, that things would begin to rise up in them that they never even knew was there, Lord. And I thank you for doing it. I thank you, Father, for testimonies of what you're going to do in their lives, Lord, in this coming week. And Father, I pray, God, that they would experience your love. I pray, Lord, that they would not be stubborn like Moses, but that they would be open to your suggestions about them, that they would be open and willing to do your will for their lives, oh God, that they would stretch themselves, oh God, and Father, that they would see how far they're able to go with you, Lord, through your strength, Father. I thank you, oh God. I thank you for doing it. I thank you for blessing their lives.